I often say when it comes to the Hall of Fame, if you have to debate it, you're not a Hall of Famer. Because when you say a name, everybody just in the room says, yep, that person's in. David, is Charles Woodson a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
You don't have to argue that. See, folks, it's just that easy. But now if I sit here and say, hey, David, is Rondé Barber a Hall of Famer?
Not.
See?
No. I don't
that
think
hesitation right there is my criteria. Now, I know I'm not on the Hall of Fame committee. I don't get to do this. But I think that when you have the arguments with people at the barbershop or over Thanksgiving dinner, it's either you're a no-brainer, you're in, or if you have to justify it, I don't know if you're necessarily in. Once again, hey, David, is Reggie Wayne a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Okay. I don't see Reggie Wayne as a Hall of Famer, but okay. Fred Taylor.
Nah, I'm not sure about him. I would say no.
Okay. Rodney Harrison.
I hesitate there, but I think he is eventually. Just it's going to be a while for him to get there.
Calvin Johnson.
See, now that one's the one for me. I think he is, but my debate with him is I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Fame.
Calvin will get into the Hall of Fame, but it won't be on the first ballot. It's going to take some time. The thing that really hurts Calvin, when looking at the numbers and comparing them, Calvin didn't have enough time. Now, he played 9 seasons. If he had 9 seasons with some playoff victories and some memorable moments, maybe he's in. But when you think Calvin Johnson, I mean, outside of the city of Detroit, most people think, oh, that's the process guy. Oh, yeah, he was good. Whatever happened to him? Lions didn't win with him, did they? No, they didn't. They kind of wasted his career. He and the Lions are on the outs right now. I don't know if he has numbers, but he's not like in the top 10. And before people say, well, Barry left and Barry did all of that, Barry finished as one of the top 5 backs of all time. Calvin's not in the top 5 wide receivers. Calvin doesn't have a Super Bowl moment. Calvin doesn't have that moment just in everybody's mind where they understand, oh, yes, I remember that catch. I remember this. He doesn't even have – he made spectacular catches. He did, but like he doesn't even have like the Odell Beckham Jr. one-handed catch, that one thing that everybody remembered. What I like in college, I call the Heisman moment. That every Heisman Trophy winner has that moment where you're like, yep, he just won it right there. I don't think Calvin has that. I got some numbers, and there's actually a person that's a semifinalist that is probably the closest in being comparable to Calvin. So before I give you the numbers, David, I'm going to say, is Torrey Holt a Hall of Famer?
See, that's the one, because when I looked at the list that's the finalists for this year, I said to myself, I think Calvin is the best receiver on the list that is there right now. I'm not sure Torrey Holt is a Hall of Famer. I think that his numbers are grand, or they look like that because he played with, the greatest show on turf, with Isaac Bruce and Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk. I'm not sure he was really the best receiver or one of the best receivers in his day. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer.
Well, here's the thing. Torrey Holt and Calvin Johnson may be the closest in apples-to-apples comparison because Torrey only played 10 years. Calvin played 9 years. So their numbers are very similar. Everybody else has played like 14, 15 years. So, of course, they're going to rank up the numbers. Calvin, according to Pro Football Reference, in receiving yards, he's number 31. You know where Torrey Holt is? Played one more year than Calvin.
He's probably in the 30s somewhere.
Torrey Holt, 16.
Wow, 16, that high, huh?
Yeah. Torrey Holt finished with 13,382 yards. Calvin finished with 1,619 yards. Torrey Holt finished with 920 receptions. Calvin finished with 731. Torrey Holt finished with 74 touchdowns. Calvin finished with 83 touchdowns. That right there tells me Calvin won't be first ballot. Calvin will make the Hall of Fame. Please don't get it twisted, folks. I'm not sitting here trying to, I'm not trying to give you a hot take. I'm looking at the ballot. It just came out. I was sitting up doing show stuff, finishing up. I actually wasn't even going to start off with this, but I kind of got intrigued going over numbers and trying to figure out, okay, well, is this guy going to get in? What about Calvin? How does he compare to this guy and compare to that guy? I think he'll eventually make it. I think Peyton Manning, I think Charles Woodson are no-brainer first-team Hall of Famers. I don't think that Calvin will get it. Torrey Holt is the closest, David. He's the absolute closest to Calvin. 10 years to Calvin's 9 years. He's got more receiving yards. He's got less touchdowns, but he's got more receptions. The thing that may help Torrey Holt, he played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that will help him. You're right.
People can say, oh, yeah, I remember Torrey. He did this. He was on the greatest show on turf. When you think Calvin Johnson, man, you think of a lone wolf. You think of a guy who did it by his damn self. There was nothing else. That's what you think of Calvin Johnson. And, my goodness, I could probably think of more pathetic things that happened to Calvin and happened to the Lions than actually happened for Calvin. That's the sad reality of this. And, yeah, it's going to take whoever is that Detroit representative. So if it's Dave Burkett, he's going to have to go in that room and say, hey, guys, let me tell you a little bit about Calvin. Hey, Dave is going to he's going to have to pour that hot cocoa and get everybody by the fireplace and say, all right, nestle around, folks. Let me tell you a story of a guy who was so good. They called him Megatron, but the city didn't. The city loved him, but the team necessarily did not. They got rid of him, and they've been on the outs ever since. Now, a part of me would love for Calvin to make it just to hear his speech, because I kind of got a feeling it's going to be straight out the players' haters' ball.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, Detroit, F you and the Ford family. I never liked any of y'all, and none of y'all was anything and whatever. So I think that's what it'll be. I would love to see that.